Dreamer, Beautiful Dreamer, a BEK story. I have trouble sleeping. It's not that I have trouble falling asleep. Oh no. I have more trouble just staying awake. But the problem is, when I do sleep, I dream. I dream and I remember my dreams. At first, I didn't see anything that I could remember. It's hard to explain, but I could remember sensing movement, feeling things moving around outside my house as I lay in bed, sound asleep. You know, like if you fall asleep listening to music or to Mortis Media, you can still hear it, even if you're unconscious. You just sort of absorb it, I guess. I don't remember hearing specific sounds, just this sense of movement in the dark. The first thing I do remember seeing in my dreams was the street in front of my house. It was dark, but not the darkness of night, more like the road is seen on an overcast day or just before dawn, when it's beginning to get light. Just the street, that was all. But still, it was somehow unnerving, although I couldn't have explained why. And then, after a while, the figures appeared. 2 figures. A boy and a girl, although it was hard to tell, as their heads were covered up by black bunny hugs, black hoodies. I just figured that the taller one was a boy and the shorter one a girl. They were dressed identically. Hoodies, thin jeans, black high-topped sneakers. I couldn't see their faces. They just stood there in the gloom in front of my house. What did they want? I couldn't tell, but I found myself fervently wishing they would go away. I saw them several times before they raised their heads and looked at me, or should I say, looked in the direction of my house, at my bedroom windows. I still couldn't see them clearly. Their faces were mere white blobs, while the eyes were 2 pools of Stygian blackness, black pits which radiated darkness and gloom. Black eyes. Black eyes? Oh my God, those are the black-eyed kids. I'd heard about them, and they're bad. I woke up in a cold sweat, heart pounding, and glad, ever so glad, that my bedroom curtains were shut tight. Were those kids really out there? No, it couldn't be. It was just a dream, a nightmare, that's all. But it was a few nights, a few dreams later, that the kids began speaking to me. It was the standard, "Please, sir, please let us in. We're cold and we need to use your phone." Or, "Please, sir, please let us in. We're lost and we need to call our mummy." "Please, sir, please let us in. We need to call our mummy. It's late and she'll be worried about us." I knew it was only a matter of time before they would start calling me by name. I noticed another thing, too. As the dreams progressed, the kids were getting closer. At first, they had just been on the road in front of my house, but now they were on the sidewalk, on the lawn, on the driveway, coming up the front steps. I could almost hear them knocking on my front door. But these were only dreams, right? 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 I don't know if I can convey the fear and desperation I felt. At first the dreams were just weird, then they were unsettling, and then they were downright terrifying. And then it finally happened. They called me by name. Oh, I know what you're going to say. That it wasn't the BEK calling me by name. It was my unconscious mind. I was the victim of free-floating anxiety or something, which fueled the dream imagery of the BEK calling to me so personally, calling me by name. Bullshit. They were using my dreams to get closer to me, to get inside without having to physically enter. After a month of this, I was a nervous wreck. I was afraid to go to sleep and tried to stay awake as long as possible. My work suffered, and I even lost my appetite, which really proves I was in a bad way. Work was indeed agony, and one afternoon, at around 3:43 p.m., it finally happened. I fell asleep at my desk. The dream was different this time. This time, I wasn't at home, but on a long concrete pier or causeway, jutting out into a huge body of water, an ocean or one of the Great Lakes. Whichever it was, the waves were gray and glassy, under a glowering, overcast sky. Everything was dull, gray, brown, or black. Black? The kids were at the far end of the pier, and even though their dark figures were very small, I knew they were staring at me with their dead black eyes. The whole scene was without sound. Everything was silent. No cries of seabirds, no crashing or lapping waves, just silence. I tried to keep my eyes on the dark figures, who seemed to be drawing closer, but my attention was continually drawn away. I would glance quickly at the deserted beach, the sullen waters, the churning clouds, and when I looked back, the kids had drawn closer. Much closer. I turned to run, to get away, only to find the kids were now behind me, staring at me with their dead black eyes. And then I woke up. I was in my cubicle at work, face down on the desk, in total darkness. In total darkness. But I knew where I was. The office. I checked my phone. It was 11:43 p.m., long after everyone else had left. I was so exhausted, I'd fallen asleep at my desk. Oh well, I needed the sleep, I guess. I got up and was making my way through the gloom when I suddenly realized I wasn't alone. Someone or something was in the dark with me, and I knew who, or should I say what it was. I turned, and there at the end of the aisle that ran past the row of cubicles, I could make out two white blurs, two white blobs hovering in the darkness, two white faces with black eyes. The kids, they were here. I ran, and I went down the stairs. No way was I using the elevator. What if the doors opened and they were in there? I ran out to my car, jumped in and peeled rubber out of there. but it did no good. The first red light I hit, they were there, on the sidewalk, at the side of the road. And then they were right outside my driver's side window, staring in at me and smirking. I floored it, running the red light, then hightailed it to the expressway. They couldn't touch me when I was going 90 miles an hour down the midnight highway. But they were still there. I kept passing them, standing on the shoulder, or when I went beneath an underpass, I could see them standing up above, gazing down at me. Once they even stood on the center line. On an expressway. And then, once again, I saw them standing on the shoulder of the road, and I said to myself, "Enough is enough. You won't leave me alone. It's you or me." And I aimed the car right at them, at where they stood on the shoulder, impaling them with my headlights. It was them or me. The following day, local news reported the spectacular single-vehicle crash. After running off the road at over 100 miles per hour, the car rolled before bursting into flames. Oh well, I guess the man who died is now at peace. Unless, do the dead dream? If so, he may have visitors. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,500 subs. Till midnight. Cheers. Pictures used in today's video, courtesy of Pix Here, that's PX Here, while the music was the classic Ghost Processional by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod.